Hi, I'm Beth Harrell at the Santa Fe Reptile and Bug Museum, and I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge something very sad that happened recently. Our very dear friend Oliver Greer, owner of the amazing and creator of the amazing Crawleywood collection that you will see in our next segments, passed away very unexpectedly on March 17th. We're still kind of reeling from the shock of this. We're very sad, but we all really loved Ollie, and he was a very unique person, famous for carrying around a bullwhip everywhere he went. And if you were lucky, he would crack it for you in the parking lot when it was empty. It made a very loud sound. He said he liked to use it to scare coyotes from his backyard. And he was a very passionate man. He was very obviously into bugs, as you will see when you see his collection. He was also super passionate and super knowledgeable about movies and about music. He was a very talented drummer, and he was just an amazing personality, a one-of-a-kind person, and you'll never meet anybody else like him. But fortunately, we do have some video here where you will get to see him talk about his collection. And this happened so recently, I myself have not even seen this video. So I'm very excited to see this recording of Ollie. So we hope you enjoy, and rest in peace, Oliver Greer.
All right, this is my stick insect case, and as you can see, there's a lot of big bugs in here. And why is that? Well, I can answer that very simply. It's because I like big bugs, and I cannot lie. Other bug collectors can't deny that when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty bug, I tell her to sweep it under the rug. I don't want to seem whiny, but I don't want a bug if it's tiny. But besides that, this is a display case of just walking and flying sticks. And you can see they have the most remarkable camouflage, how their bodies look just like dried bamboo and their wings look like leaves. So one of the great...
Hi, I'm Wade Harrell. We're here at the Pop-Up Museum, which is the temporary home of the Santa Fe Reptile and Bug Museum, also known as the Santa Fe Bug and Reptile Museum. But as you might surmise from that, we have bugs and reptiles here. And we are currently engaging in a fundraiser in order to enable us to get a permanent and larger space that allow us to better fulfill our educational mission here in Santa Fe. And along the way, we will meet some of our helpers like Jay Blumenthal, who is our #1 animal care guy, and he also does a great job presenting to kids about bugs and other animals, and you'll see some of him in action. Also Oliver Greer, who has an amazing collection of insects called the Crawleywood collection, and we're hoping to bring his collection back to the museum the way it used to be. And you also meet a lot of our animals here. We have quite a few creatures that we're very proud of to share. You'll just see a few of them, but you'll see some of our favorites along the way. But right now, I'd like to turn it over to Teresa Fernandez with a special message about the Bug Museum.
Hello, I'm Congresswoman Teresa Fernandez, representing the beautiful and beautifully diverse 3rd Congressional District of Nuevo Mexico. I want to thank the hardworking staff at the Santa Fe Reptile and Bug Museum and the entire Santa Fe community for coming together to support this cherished local attraction. Those small creatures we sometimes forget or underestimate do important work in our ecosystem. The Bug Museum is educational, interactive, and fun. The museum is a treasured part of the Santa Fe community and deserves our wholehearted support. The museum's educational mission encourages New Mexicans of all ages to engage in a culture of conservation that is so important to all of us, to all of Nuevo Mexico. And using the interactive activities makes learning these lessons exciting. Santa Fe would be a lesser place without the Bug Museum. For both residents and visitors, let's make a permanent home for the museum possible. Small places and small little things can do big things. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again to Teresa Fernandez for her support. And now I'd like to introduce you to some of our animal stars here at the museum. This is Noodle, and Noodle is a blue-tongued skink from Australia. And you can see how they get their name. They do indeed have a blue tongue, which they use to startle predators. In the wild in Australia, they might encounter things such as dingoes, which are a wild dog, as well as larger reptiles and birds and other creatures, and they will open their mouth very wide and stick out this bright blue tongue to look as scary as possible. But they're actually pretty gentle lizards. They're omnivorous. They eat bugs and worms and things, but they also like fruits and vegetables. Skinks are a family of lizards that we have here in New Mexico, and in fact most of the world has skinks of various kinds, but very few of them are as large as the blue-tongued skink. In fact, this is the second largest member of the family. They have a very thick scales on their body that work as a suit of armor. And they have very powerful jaws. Their teeth are not especially large or sharp. They're kind of blunt, but they're for crushing things. And one of their favorite foods is large land snails. Noodle was born in my house in 1999, so she's actually one of our oldest animals. She's about 24 years old this year, and they're very long-lived lizards. They can sometimes live over 30 years. All right, and now I'm going to put Noodle back in, and while I'm doing that, we can hear from Oliver Greer, with his amazing Crawleywood collection.
Hi all y'all, this is Oliver Greer. I'm the owner of the Crawleywood bug collection that used to be on display at the late great Harrell House Bug Museum. As you might have heard, we are fundraising in a big way to reopen the bug museum. I'm standing in front of my giant centerpiece. It's 8 feet tall, 5 feet wide, it weighs 500 pounds. It takes 4 strong dudes to move. It has 1,250 beetles, moths, and butterflies in it. There's not another display of bugs like this anywhere else in the entire country. And it will be the Santa Fe Reptile and Bug Museum's great pleasure to have this back on display for everybody to enjoy. So some of the highlights of this giant display case are 160 local Santa Fe butterflies, each of which was roadkill on the sidewalks in my neighborhood close to downtown. These live for maybe a week, but they now have a decades-long afterlife in my collection, and they're appreciated by tens of thousands of people, which is, I think, very fitting for these beautiful critters. Right here is Ornithoptera meridionalis, male and female, from Papua New Guinea. These used to be considered protected butterflies. They're now available for collectors because private butterfly ranchers in New Guinea got together and repopulated this butterfly, protecting it from its natural predator, which is a nasty parasitic fly. And I am thrilled beyond words to have a pair of them on display for you guys. Also, I have 18 different species of African Goliath beetles. You will not find this many variety of Goliath beetles in any other collection in this country, anywhere. And I've got an assortment of longhorn cerambycid beetles, and I'm especially proud of this assortment of atlas moths, Archaeoatticus edwardsi, Archaeoatticus staudingeri, 1, 2, 3 pairs of Atticus atlas, Atticus caesar, Atticus dohertii, Atticus erebus, Atticus inopinatus, Atticus lemaieri, Atticus lorquini, Atticus supermani, and Cosnacera antaeus, Cosnacera eurytheus, and Cosnacera hercules. Nowhere else will you find so many different species of these giant silk moths, and it is my privilege to present them to everybody to enjoy.
Thanks, Ollie, and we'll check back with Ollie later. And now I'd like to introduce you to one of our other animals. This is Polonius. Polonius is a bull snake, also known as gopher snakes. They are fairly common here in New Mexico. A lot of our animals here at the museum are exotic from other countries, but we also like to educate people about the stuff that's native and they can see locally. And this is bull snakes are actually one of the largest snakes, and probably the largest snake you'd encounter in New Mexico. Polonius here is almost 7 feet long, but the record for bull snakes is around 8 feet long, so they do get quite large. but they are very beneficial to have around your house. They are harmless to us. They have no venom. They rarely bite, even though they will bluff and act like they want to bite you. If you pick one up in the wild, it will make a lot of racket and strike at you, but probably not actually follow through and bite. They mostly just want to scare you away. But Polonius has been handled since he was a baby, so he doesn't strike, although he does like to be very active while he's being handled. In the wild, they feed on all kinds of rodents and rats, rabbits, gophers, groundhogs, all kinds of small furry creatures that may be a pest to you. So these guys are very good to have around. And Polonius is one of our favorite animals here. We've had Polonius about 7 or 8 years now. Bull snakes typically live between 15 and 20 years, so we hope we have Polonius for a good long time yet. And if you are interested in making a donation to help us not only move into our bigger space, as I was saying before, but also care for animals like Polonius in the meantime, you can press the link on our screen right there. Now I'd like to, speaking of education, I'd like to turn it over to Jay Blumenthal, who's going to show you some of our live invertebrates and talk about them. And you'll see how we really like to connect with kids and families here at the museum.
So I'm going to start off with the littlest, tiniest guys. These are called blue death-feigning beetles. And these guys live in the Mojave Desert. Just try to keep them close and over the table. We don't want them to fall on the floor. But these guys live in the Mojave Desert where it's very hot and dry. So they excrete a whitish blue waxy coating from their shell that helps them keep in moisture so they don't dry out.
Well, I like bugs, but they did feel a little weird on your hand because like some of them were kind of heavy. So they did feel a little weird on your hand, but everything else was pretty cool experience. So
this is Dwayne. He is our pallid hairy, also known as a desert or Arizona hairy scorpion. They're the largest species of scorpion native to the United States, though they're not dangerous to people. This individual is very docile. He's been handled many times. If he's stung, it would feel like a bee sting, but you wouldn't be in any life-threatening danger. There's only one species of scorpion native to the United States that has any human deaths associated with it, and that is the Arizona barked scorpion. They do glow under ultraviolet light, and they probably don't like it, which is why he's running away. In the wild, it might help them to realize that they're out in the sun because they are nocturnal and they avoid sunlight. So it might just be there to help them, you're going to run off the table, aren't you? There's a good boy. But scientists aren't for sure knowing, they don't know for sure why they glow. There are a few species of cave scorpion that don't glow. And also like the whip spiders, the whip scorpions, and the camel spiders, which are closely related to scorpions, none of them glow either. It's just the true scorpions. But hissing cockroaches, the Madagascar hissers, are even better for pets. They're cheap online, super easy to find. You can easy to house, box of leaves and somewhere for them to hide, full of water.
I feel like it's great that they give people that ability to be able to hold them and teach them that bugs aren't usually that dangerous. I've been here since I was like 2 and I've never ever been as scared of the animals.
See how so many people are afraid of a tiny harmless animal, 1,000th your size, that can't hurt you in any way, and then we're like, kill it with fire. It's like,
just because I'm so used to them and I've been with them for a long time and I know they're not dangerous at all.
Oops. Is a Chilean rose hair tarantula, and her name is Nancy. And she is very gentle. She has fangs and venom, but she chooses not to use them. There are no dangerous species of tarantula in the world, though there are dangerous spiders. Her main defense is she can flick off itchy hairs from her rear end that make her smell and taste bad. It comes out in an orange jam. Not an orange jam. What am I saying? That's what the millipedes have. She flicks off these itchy hairs into the eyes and nose of a predator, and that's her main defense. It's called urticating hair. It's kind of like fiberglass insulation if you ever handled that. And if you ever wanted to pet her, you can pet her very gently on her legs. Her leg hair is very soft and fuzzy. Just don't pet her on her bum because that's where those itchy hairs are. I like to think of her as an 8-legged teddy bear.
Thanks, Jay. Well, thanks for showing us those bugs. And let me introduce you to another animal friend here. This is Willow. Willow is a frilled lizard, also called a frilled dragon. And we got Willow. Willow was donated to us shortly before we closed the old museum. And not a lot of people have seen her yet. We're actually we're very excited to have Willow, because Willow is a very special animal, very famous lizard. When I grew up, this was one of the lizards in all my reptile books and stuff that I was excited to, would only dreamed of ever getting to work with. And for those of you who have seen the Jurassic Park films, you might be familiar with the Dilophosaurus, which is a dinosaur. And in the movie, they changed the dinosaur quite a bit from what it really is, including they gave it a frill around its neck that it sticks up to threaten any enemies. And we see him do that in the film. Now, in real life, nobody knows if Dilophosaurus really had anything like that. Probably didn't. But the inspiration was from the frilled lizard. So I'm gonna stick up Willow's frill right now a little bit. She's gonna struggle. She doesn't feel like doing it right now because she's kind of used to us, so she rarely does it. It's something they usually only do when they're threatened. But you see she has these big skin flaps on the side of her head, and she can indeed stick them up very impressively. And it does make them look a lot larger. It is to intimidate predators. Willow is primarily an insect eater. They eat lots of bugs. They're found in Australia and New Guinea, and they live both on the ground, and they also climb trees. They like to cling to tree branches. And you'll see that she has a very camouflaged coloration. She'll often be sitting on a tree branch right in front of her cage, and many visitors won't even know she's there because she looks so much like part of the tree branch. So again, if you'd like to donate to help not only find us a new location that's more permanent, and also help us care for animals like Willow. Reptiles like this need very specialized care and lighting, and we have a big electrical bill, as you might imagine. And also we have to get them lots and lots of insects. But we have the button right there on the screen. You can donate. And but now I'd like to turn it over to Oliver Greer again.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Crawlywood Bug Collection. I'm Oliver Greer, and I'm presenting to you my 6.5-foot tall spider and creepy crawly display case. Now, the ultimate irony is that I'm arachnophobic since birth, but the fear compels me to have spiders in the collection. So I went full bore, and I've got spiders. So my very first bug in my collection that I started out with when I was 10 years old in Tiburon, California in 1976 is this little Pepsis formosa tarantula hunting wasp right there. That's what got me started. I looked it up in our family bug encyclopedia after I found that dead wasp in our backyard. I was a very tiny kid. I've drunk a lot of milk since then. That's why I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall now. But I was a shrimp when I was a kid. So my hands are pretty tiny. So that dead wasp looked pretty big in my tiny hands. But when I looked it up in the book and made the connection between the real bug and the information in the book and the picture, suddenly science was interesting. And that book became my Indiana Jones treasure map. And speaking of Indiana Jones, I really do carry a whip, and I know how to use it. And this wasp led to an interest in all of this. So from this Pepsis formosa, I also now have the giant South American tarantula wasps that hunt and parasitize these big tarantulas. And as a point of interest for you tarantula enthusiasts, I've got Theraphosa apophysis male, Theraphosa apophysis female, Theraphosa blondie female, and a giant Theraphosa blondie male down there. 2 of the 3 Goliath bird-eating tarantula species. At home, in my private stash of 6,500 more bugs, I have Theraphosa sturmi. I have all 3 Goliath bird-eater species represented in my collection. Take that, every other museum.
Hi, this is Wade here at the still at the our pop-up museum, and this is one of our most popular animals. This is Spike the iguana. Spike was donated to us when her original owner passed away, and family and friends were doing their best taking care of her. but they brought her to us, and she's been very popular on display ever since. She's closing her eyes there, probably because she doesn't particularly like to be picked up, so I'm going to put her back down in just a minute. But a lot of people don't realize, how long their pet reptiles are going to live. They often, iguanas can live, 20 years or more. And they also get quite large and have a specialized diet. Iguanas are like fresh fruits and vegetables, and lots of them. And they also require specialized lighting. They like a very warm area. They also need a pretty large cage. This is actually one of our biggest cages we have here right now, but we actually want to move into something even larger, which would be the goal when we do eventually move into a larger space, is to get a much larger space for Spike. And any donations you can contribute would really help with that. You can see the link on the screen. And I'm going to set her back down right now, because she's probably already getting tired of me holding her. Hi there, and I'd like to introduce you to one of our many tarantulas we have here. This is a Brazilian salmon pink tarantula, and the pink comes from the highlights that are on some of the longer hairs, which you may not be able to see right now on the screen, but they are one of the largest tarantulas in the world. Not quite the largest. The Goliath bird eaters are bigger still, but they're not so nice. The salmon pink is not the nicest tarantula, but they are often gentle enough to handle. You can see this tarantula is probably a good 8 inches in leg span, so she's quite large. Her name is Lady Macbeth. You'll notice one of our employees was a big Shakespeare fan, and she named a lot of our animals after characters from Shakespeare plays. But like most tarantulas, she's an opportunistic predator. She feeds on any bugs she can encounter, and large tarantulas like this may even feed on lizards, snakes, and frogs, and mice, any small creature that happens to stumble in front of their burrow. But she is not dangerous. If she were to bite me, it would hurt a lot because her fangs are almost an inch long, so it would be painful, but the venom is actually very mild. I would get more pain from those actual fangs. Her primary defense is actually very irritating hair she has on her abdomen. That's the big round part on the back. When she's threatened by a predator, she'll take her back legs and knock that hair off. And if it gets in the eyes or nose, it's extremely painful. But because they have that defense, and that's a defense shared by most of the tarantulas in the Western Hemisphere, they tend to be less likely to bite. So when we do handle tarantulas, it's almost always a tarantula from the Western Hemisphere, also known as the New World. But those species tend to be a little more docile than their relatives in Africa and Asia and Australia, which do not have that hair, and they will bite you as their primary defense. One reason we have so many tarantulas is because I was a tarantula hobbyist for many years before we ever had the Bug Museum, and tarantulas live a very long time. Females typically live 10 to 20 years, and we have at least one tarantula here who is currently 24 years old. So they do live quite a while, and they were kind of my specialty for a long time. I was at one time the president of the American Tarantula Society. But if you want to come see Lady Macbeth here in person, she is on display. She's almost always out in the open. Some of our tarantulas like to hide, but she is usually not hidden. And she is one of our biggest spiders. And of course, if you wanted to make a donation at the link you see on the screen, you can help take care of her and our many other animals, as well as help us find our permanent home. But in the meantime, please come visit us here at the Pop-Up Museum. We're at the Santa Fe Fashion Outlets, 8380 Cerrillos Road, Suite 108. We're not charging admission right now for this version of the museum. It's smaller than what we hope to have in the future, but we have a lot of interesting stuff here to see. We also have many t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, as well as a special Love Bug shirt we made for our fundraiser. Those are both available at our website, SantaFeReptileandBug.org. And also available here in the store itself, of course. So thank you for joining us today and meeting some of our critters. But you can see many more if you come see us at the museum. at the Harrell House Bug Museum. I've been a hobbyist with bugs, spiders, reptiles, and other things my whole life. I wanted to do something educational with the animals I had. Really more my wife's idea. She really said we should really do something with this.
My name is Beth Harrell, and I am the wife of Wade Harrell, and together we own the Harrell House Bug Museum. When I met Wade, all of this was in his house. Almost immediately, I envisioned a bug museum.
Yeah, she knew what she was getting into. You can see they have more than 200 legs. They're underneath its body. They're but she was okay with all that. I guess she liked me pretty well. They're totally safe to hold if you want. We picked Santa Fe because it was a smaller town. The bigger towns already usually have zoos and big museums and things. Santa Fe didn't have any kind of natural history attraction. Gradually, families with kids started finding us. I've been here almost 10 years, and we got to see a lot of these kids grow up, and a lot of them still have an interest, and a lot of people say that, we've gotten people over their fear of spiders, and people really seem like they value us as just something for families to do.
Oh, he's so cool, isn't he? Touch him, Bubs, gently, very gently.
We are personally attached to all these animals. We have a lizard that was born in my house more than 20 years ago. We also have a tarantula that's the same case for. Many of our animals have just, we feel like we've really bonded with, and so we really want to keep these animals with us.
Because I see that his gift from God is educating people about these animals and how important they are, and no matter how afraid of these animals you might be, he has a way of putting you at ease so that you can get to know the animals.
This is the giant longhorn beetle from the Fiji Islands. When I was 13 years old, I worked for Dr. David Kistner at California State University in Chico. I saw this giant beetle in this box, and I was just floored that I was looking right at an actual Zoothris. Every afternoon after school, I would just look at that beetle. I was so mesmerized. After 3 years of working for him, he said, "This is yours. You've earned it. Hold on to it. This is an extremely special specimen. It's one of the most sought-after insects on Earth. What I've got to add to this collection are specimens that very few museums in the entire world have."
This is Polonius, the bull snake. I raised him from a baby, and he's a very gentle snake. And I always like bull snakes the way they have this kind of heavy scale over their eyelid that makes them look like they're a little angry, just because their eyes are going to get this heavy brow. But they are just really awesome animals.
I'd like to have a space where teachers can bring their classes, and we can hopefully provide them with materials like coloring sheets that talk about the animals that we're showing them. I'd like for it to be a big enough space that we can grow. This is what we've done with nothing. It would be nice if we could have someone who could actually bring our vision to reality, because we have a lot more ideas.
The ultimate goal is to get all 9,000 bugs on display together. This is a community resource, also a tourist attraction in Santa Fe. So we don't have a chance to appreciate the nature around us. My collection enables you to do that. Flies, bees, termites, and wasps. There's the stinger. And these stingers of the Vespa mandarinia that can sting through a pair of blue jeans.
Sure, well, we need them. We're all part of the same web. Personally, I think we need them for just the beauty of the world.
Sometimes we're like, why are we doing this? It's such a struggle. But then you'll have, kids come and you see that they really are into it. That really means something to them. Ever since we had to announce our closure, it's been people have there's been this outpouring of support, and it does honestly make us want to find a way to resurrect this.
For more information and to make a donation to support the Santa Fe Reptile and Bug Museum, visit their website at santafereptileandbug.org. Together we can make a difference.